missed a show, there wasn't one last week. The prospects seemed grim for you, the outlook was bleak. We racked our brains for something to do, so listen close, we'll reveal it to you. Patreon.com/ShameCity. That was nice, well done there. Thanks. What I did was called an experiment of melody.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Hello and welcome to episode 67 of That's a Shame. I am your host, as ever,
Don't say
Declan.
host in the singular.
Yeah.
For I am
And
your...
I'm going to say that your assistant host...
Oh, you're off the show, buddy. I'm primary host, Isaac Bernier Dorlo, BERNIER-DO, whatever you want.
I'm so host that it transcends numerical order. So,
Oh, really?
I mean,
Host
it's
pro.
all right if you're happy being just one, but...
You know, one. It's a pretty good number as they go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kangaroos and pangolins alike, do we have...
Non-binary pals.
All of them.
All of them included.
Anyone.
Forgive our commonplace vernacular, but like the London Underground, some stations still say ladies and gentlemen, while the rest have gone for gender-neutral pronouns.
What do they say? I hope it's just a long list of
Hey,
every identity
lads!
possible.
I mean, not...
It lasts the length of the district
goes
line
on for a
to
while,
say.
honestly.
Hell of a goddamn show we
Well,
have
we
for you
feel like
today.
we owe you one.
We certainly do.
And we're going to
because
make up for it.
We are in a fashion so nuclear.
So, something you're not prepared for, listener.
But know this, that the only people less prepared than you for this announcement would be us.
Yes.
Because we are officially...
Shall I do some sort of build-up? Let me just
Yeah,
I've got an app. You remember that app that has different buttons
This
that
is
make
good
sounds?
because this isn't at all ruining the building
No,
of tension
it's
at all.
actually
This is
going to bring it back.
As long as we just
Look, there's a
keep
little
talking
monkey.
with a voice that
Right.
increases in pitch.
How about this?
And further.
And his name is John C.
Say it!
We're going back to 2 episodes a week.
That worked surprisingly well for the first button on the whole
was
list.
amazing.
I'm pumped. I'm going to do a lap of this room right now.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We feel so bad.
We miss
about-
one, we come back with double a week.
And not only that, we felt so bad about there being no episode last week, and also the severe dearth of content for this week. That to patch up that particular hole, we've dug a whole new one.
Yeah.
And we're mixing our metaphors
All over
like
the
no
place.
one's
Don't worry
business.
about it.
That's right. Now, it's going to be a slight change from when we used to do 2 a week.
How so?
Because...
Talk me through. I'll be the listener and you be the FAQ.
Okay.
Is it going to be the same as when you used to do 2 a
Well,
week?
technically, you're the FAQ.
Is it going to be... Oh, yeah. You be the FAQ answers, I'll be the FAQ Qs.
Okay.
So you're the FAQA. Or
Right.
just the FAs,
Yeah.
but not in the...
The frequent answers.
Yeah. Is it going to be... You remember when you used to do 2 a week? Like, months ago. When did we stop doing 2 a week? Episode...
I'm afraid that's not an FAQ.
Oh,
so
sorry about that.
I can't tell you.
But is it going to be... It's going to be the same, right?
No.
Oh, worse.
You know, with one of those happy exclamation marks that
that you
places
know
use to
pretend that it's not a
paste
bad
over the
message.
fact that it's
Your
a negative
wages are
answer.
frozen! Exclamation mark. Yes, I know the one.
No, not quite. Of
Okay.
course, the structure will still be similar in that every 7
none.
days there will be 2 episodes, and most likely, though not assuredly, on the same days, Wednesdays and Sundays.
Good schedule.
However, before, back when Isaac and Declan had an inordinate, some would say a shameless amount of free time,
Just luxury.
episodes could total up to 4 hours a week.
Yeah, we went overboard on some of them.
And that's just not right.
No.
It's not what you, the public, want. It's not what you can digest.
There does seem to be some data to support that conclusion.
Exactly.
That's not just us pulling
We
it out
did
of
a
nowhere.
poll of 8 to vote. One of them, at least, was me.
I didn't vote on it myself. I abstained. But no, we've heard, so the feedback over the coming up to a year of the show. This is the 11th month of the show.
It's
Fuck
madness.
me, that's mental. It's the longest commitment ever.
Yeah.
The feedback over the course.
Implying that in several relationships,
I've
we've really been
cheating
coasting.
all over the place.
Coasting at the very least for
that
the
was
last.
a lovely joke.
Yes.
Comedy
And of course,
podcast.
Not your most. Recent.
None of them.
Oh, none. Yeah. yeah.
No, none of them. Okay. Anyway, guys, back on topic.
Yes.
I'm fumbling for words all over the place
Freudian
in a very
slipping like a
non-specific
mad
way. Anyway, what I'm saying is, over the course of the show, we've talked before about how when we were doing 2, we lost the listenership of our families primarily.
Yeah.
It was at 2 a week that my girlfriend got lost, stopped kind of checking in. Also because the Apple Podcast app just refuses to play our show. It's like a
how I
moral
listen to
judgment.
it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, on her phone, and I thought she was just being an idiot, but then I looked, I was like, no, you're right, there's no way around this problem. I've restarted it, I've unsubscribed and resubscribed. I'm afraid you'll just have to hear it from me when I reenact each week the whole show. So we heard from her. There were other people who got in touch.
My
and were
mum
like,
disowned me.
Yeah.
For several months.
I think my mum's listened, but she was so far behind during that 2-a-week period that, I mean, she'll just never catch up.
No.
It's like that thing of if someone gets shunted off a spacecraft, even
There's
if
no
they're-
way they can ever
it's
catch
like,
up.
that's just it, isn't it? They're done
end.
forever.
End of
So that is one side of the argument. Then on the other side of the coin, we've got all the people who, when we announced we were going down to 1, outrage. I got death threats.
Pitchforks.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
That was from you.
That
I
was
thought,
from
yeah.
you.
So we had a lot of people who were not upset. I mean, they don't feel
Not
like
upset. Devastated.
they're wounded, quite mortally.
Marriages collapsed.
Yeah, people had nothing left to talk about with their families, I heard. But no, some people were, put out. They were used to it, because if you've carved in, as someone who listens to like upwards of 1,000 podcasts a week, I know that you carve out a schedule for like, this comes out on that day, I'll listen on the tube to work, whatever. And once that changes,
Don't call it work.
I didn't mean any serious sense.
I see.
Work was in heavily inverted commas. Once that changes, it can play all kinds of havoc with what's going on. So we've had these two sides. We're diplomatic at That's a Shame.
Yeah.
We look for a middle ground solution.
And we wrestled over this for
God,
maybe 30 seconds before coming on air.
Yeah, and it was nuts. Like the roller coaster in that 30 seconds.
The density of information that passed hands.
Yeah. Well, it was the marketplace of ideas.
Information that passed hands.
Horrible.
Don't know what I'm on about
No,
today.
no one does.
I'm so excited.
You don't know
Just
what to
slams together all euphemisms.
So we've Large Hadron collided our way into a solution, which is we take the 2 hours, I fucked it. We take the 2-a-week format, we slam it into these people who, God rest their souls, can't handle 2 hours of content.
But what we do is we have 2
Yeah.
slightly shorter episodes
Yes.
per week.
Now, don't be alarmed. When we say slightly shorter, we aim, it might be unclear what we aim for this one, because it goes all over the place
Changes.
anyway. In our heads, we allot like an hour for the show. At the
Yeah.
moment. So I'm thinking we mentally take that down to between 30 minutes and 45 minutes, cram in, a shorter, sweeter episode bite.
Yeah.
Keep shame mail, of course.
That's
Crux of the show.
The
Goodness
absolute
me.
backbone.
Hell of a feature. What are we going to do about Patreon songs? Can't write 2 of those a week. This is not an ever-flowing well of creativity.
What we could do is we could have one Patreon song,
Uh-huh.
and I'll do like a Patreon poem,
Oh, okay.
which is like the Patreon song. But I don't have to
You'd
worry
have to
about the
think of it
words. I don't have to be in tune. Not
Nice.
that I have been.
Rarely. Okay, yes. So we'll cross all those bridges as we come to them.
But yeah, the fact is, as we've said constantly, having the one a week,
It's been dreadful.
paradoxically makes it more difficult to schedule.
Yeah, as you can see by missing for our first ever week last time.
Said schedule.
I know.
And as I
saw your
said
wince.
it, I knew like it hurt.
Yeah.
It's more difficult to schedule one episode a week than two.
Not just in terms of timing, but in terms of like
Emotional commitment.
because it feels like we said before, it feels like such an irregularity once a week.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know why that is, because nothing else that I do every week has that quality.
No, I suppose it's because we've never had a kind of set time that we do record.
Yeah.
And I think it's also to do with it being Wednesday, because it comes out and you think, oh, the podcast's done for this week.
Yeah.
So then it's not until at least Monday that you think, new week, new
one.
show. And,
Yeah.
well, I'm out this night. Isaac's out that night.
Doing
Wednesday
it
it
on Wednesday.
is. Whereas
And
when
I'm
you've
up
got
till
the
like
2 a
1 a.m.
week,
Yeah.
you think more about, okay, well, we've got to do one for then and one for then. We
Yeah.
need to allocate
It will force
this
us to
time.
take it more seriously.
And-
And not in a boring way,
No.
but in the way that I think we should, because we've not
It'll
been...
force us to take it less apathetically.
Yeah, and I think like we owe it to ourselves as we come up to the year of a project
Oh,
that we've
God,
stayed
yeah.
with. Like, if only for our benefit, I think we should right the ship. Is that a metaphor?
Nope.
Course correct the big fat car. You know the one.
You've caught my syndrome.
And yeah, so that's the plan, is to recommit to more content. I don't think the length is going to be much of an issue, because we say an hour and it's often like we've done episodes that are closer to 2.
Yeah.
Blocks, which was a veritable
Goodness
saga. It was like
me.
War and Peace. We actually won an award that I never collected for longest ever podcast episode, which was very kind of them. So don't be put out by the fact that they're going to be shorter, because I don't think that will probably last.
And equally, for those who thought that 2 was too much to handle, which is the name of a very X-rated movie.
Too much to handle. Is that if times get really hard at Shame City? Well, it's gay for pay or nothing.
Yeah, don't be put out by the idea that we're kind of doubling the content,
Yeah.
because we're not. We're kind of spreading a slightly larger amount
Yes.
across the week, so it should be easily digestible.
There's also just
for all.
no like temporal sensitivity to what we're talking about. It's very rarely
Yeah.
current affairs.
Well, that and the fact that, you know, proud of the show though we might be,
Yeah.
it's not the sort of thing where it's necessary for you to hang on our every word.
Oh,
like
no.
if you're doing it while doing it, if you're listening to it
Uh-huh.
while doing something else, that's absolutely fine.
That's all right. I do the
Just
same.
drift in and out. That's what we do
Yeah.
while we record it.
I've been all over the place. Yeah. So that's the plan moving forwards. Now, how is it going to affect our patrons?
Well, that's a good question.
Because we haven't thought of an answer yet. I just thought I'd throw it out.
Yeah. Well, I suppose in a way, what we said on the Patreon feed was that if we reached $100
Yeah.
a month, that we would go back to 2 anyway.
And we've been at 93 for about 3 months or
Yeah.
something.
So really, it's a kind of commitment to them,
Yep.
a concession of $7.
Shall I chuck in $7 to our own Patreon?
Should we do
Wow,
$3.50 a
guys.
month each?
Well done, us.
And it shouldn't affect the lack of the content we already
Yeah,
promised
we're
coming through. In fact, in much the same way that this will kind of reinvigorate the regular show, the kind of the base show.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it's also a way to ensure that we get out the promised content
Yes.
for the patrons.
I think
as
it may
well.
be worth, and this is quite a niche episode content, I realise, but I like all this behind the scenes stuff and I listen to podcasts, and mustn't forget that we are just talking about what we want. So if you don't like that, you're probably in the wrong place. Maybe we should have some kind of like meeting virtually with our patrons to discuss
like that.
reordering some of the stuff, because I think at the moment maybe it's slightly untenable, the amount that we've committed to, not in terms of the stuff that we're going to deliver, like letters
No.
and songs and
Yeah.
stuff. That's just going to take a while, because it takes a while to make a song. But maybe we want to rethink some of the scheduling, and obviously now that we've just done that goal anyway, we should come up with something new for the $100.
I think so.
Something that people like actually want this time.
Yeah. So
Because it's been like, this has been a learning experience. This is our first time ever engaging with this kind of model.
well, it's our first time ever actually having an audience for anything we've done as
True.
well. So knowing how,
Other than just like holding court in
Yeah.
day-to-day life.
which I mean, often though it was and impressive,
Oh, I'd say so.
is a very different relationship to the one that we have with you. Far less meaningful,
Yeah.
we should say. I mean, thus far, all we could promise you for your money was more of us, which we're acutely aware may not be what you want.
Although
So,
it feels like if it's not what you want, then again, you
Probably
might be
in the wrong
looking in the wrong
place.
area.
but yeah, like get in touch, patrons and non-patrons alike, because obviously,
Yes.
I think that what we said for the goals rather than for the tiers was that the goals would be for everyone
Yeah, I think that's fair. Oh yeah, because we were going to like start a new shirt at some point.
at $250.
I mean, we'll never get there, but it's nice to dream.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to do, as I was telling you before the show, and I would appreciate feedback on this idea, tass@shame.city, feedback and suggestions specifically. I learnt recently of a podcast produced by the far more talented, accepted by, the media sphere, 30 under 30 nominees and recipients, I
Okay,
believe.
keep rubbing it in.
The McElroy brothers, who do My Brother and Me. Good show. Sounds like the kind of thing I'd really hate. But it turns out they're actually very funny and likable. They have quite a kind of absurdist sense of humour that I didn't expect from Americans, really, at all, because you don't really see that in kind of mainstream American comedy.
No.
But they have a podcast. I don't know if it's all of them or one of them or what, but every year they go and watch, I think on the same day, I'm going to assume, Paul Blart Mall Cop, the much lampooned kind of cult classic. It's like The Room, but I mean, without any of the grace, accidental though it may be. They watch it every year and release one podcast. So there's a feed that you subscribe to. Oh, I'll just turn my sound down. You subscribe to that feed, and then every year you get a podcast, just the one. And it's called Till Death Do Us Blart, which is just a fantastic name. But I'm really enthralled by the idea of like the fact that you could just go to that feed and that's like snapshots of people's lives through the admittedly bizarre lens of Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yeah.
I like the idea of that temporality. So that's something for us to look into. So if there's anything that you'd like to hear I like also the Groundhog Day-ness of it, that you're kind of stuck watching the same thing and it forces you to think about it differently each time you come back to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've kind of already discussed
Sushi.
between us.
That would be a candidate for it.
I feel it's maybe too much of a rip-off for it to just be a
guess so,
film
yeah.
for us. But in a similar vein, we've
Can't just go
discussed
and look
already
at
the
Cloud.
fact that we're going to do Thorpe Park again for our anniversary.
Absolutely.
And probably Alton Towers / potentially Blocks, which if we can
Absolutely
muster
not.
up the courage.
You can report
Again.
on that one. We should go to the pub in Bloxwich.
Yeah, the Bloxwich Showman. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. We
nothing
should
else.
maybe apply for that vicar's job. We were just
yeah.
saying. But
We were watching some YouTube videos of Bloxwich, and it turns out it's as horrible as we remember.
it was like therapy to try and slowly reintroduce us to the idea. So we're going to be doing that anyway. But is there anything that you think would be good for us to do?
Yeah,
Or
a good
has there
fit.
been anything from the last year's worth of podcasts that you think might make the same sort of good
Yeah.
annual touchstone?
I like that idea. We'd like to kind of branch
I
out.
can't imagine that we haven't done anything else of note.
We've done, the Spooktacular, that's going to be a yearly occurrence. Whatever our Christmas thing
Christmas
was
Eve
called.
porn themed episode.
Christmas Eve, read some
Christmas Eve smut.
low-key porn.
It sounded like you were saying low-key
Low-key porn.
but it was very high-key
Remember the
low-key
great,
porn.
like, underappreciated...
High-key, low-key porn.
That's quite good.
That's
The underappreciated facet of that episode was that porn was published the very day that we read it out. Like we
That's
were
madness.
first on the scene.
So what you
I like the
so what you think is
Nightcrawler
we
of
have to
Loki
find contemporary to the day
Fan fiction.
porn for that time.
It doesn't have to be porn, all right? It just happened to be that this
Oh,
particular
I see.
author
You
went
just
down
happened
a
to be
route.
scrolling through your subscriptions.
It was a big fan fiction
found
website sorted by New
that you visit.
that I went on for
That
the
you
show.
visit. Oh, I see. You
Fuck off!
ventured
Do I
there for
read
the-
fan fiction? I think I've got
Look,
the
you
time
didn't buy
of
that
day.
Kindle for nothing.
good 'cause people can't tell you're reading.
Imagine if I looked at it and it was 98% just fanfic.
And there's like one token like classic to try and cover up. It's like the album cover for the books.
Yeah. Oh, here
Oh,
it is.
it's
Yeah,
just
this is
to
my
kill a
Dickens
mocking.
collection.
Oh god!
Jesus
What
Christ.
is this?
What was?
Just comes tumbling out as the Kindle's spilling its secrets.
What happens if Finch grows up to be a big fan of the Marvel Universe?
So yeah, anything that you've come across. We're basically, I guess, what the theme of this is we're announcing a change, and in the same breath, we're asking for feedback
Nostalgia.
on that change, and also feedback on direction. This is like a town hall. I'm sure we said we would do one of these, like as a
State of the podcast.
state of shame or something, wasn't
Yeah.
it? We had some
State of
shit name
shame
for
address,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So we should maybe do that as well and put it out somewhere else.
What about the fact that the invitations to the State of the Union address were sent out as State of the Union?
The unium is such a great entry in the, what do we call it? Small error, big
small-
mistake.
yeah.
Yeah. SMB.
Small mistake, big error.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
SMBE.
Okay, good.
Yeah. This on the State of the Union.
Uh-huh.
This last few days has been a fantastic day for satire.
This last few days has been a fantastic
Yeah.
day. Wow. Satire works at light speed.
Just what with Betsy DeVos's interview, and today what with Rex Tillerson going. It's just been
There's a lot
the
to-
Borowitz report, The Onion. They've been on fire. That one that Dan sent us earlier
yeah.
today was very good.
Rex Tillerson
Blindsided by news. He still works for the State Department. It was the tweet. Sorry, that was just Rex Tillerson googling improv class age restriction,
That's a lovely idea.
and the one about was it Betsy DeVos calls 60 minutes
This was real.
good waste? No,
Was it not?
no. It's like it's a New Yorker version of The Onion.
Okay.
The Betsy DeVos calls 60 minutes a waste of a half an hour.
Bless. I mean, it's all a real shame, which, falls under very much our remit for the show. We've got email, singular,
Are we going
this
to do
week.
that now?
No. I'm just signposting what's coming up.
I see.
In case the listeners felt that this wasn't a structured experience.
Contents page.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you remember when you were in primary school? There was this kind of
You didn't
authoritarian idea that, like, if something didn't have a contents page, it wasn't worth looking at.
What?
So, if you did like a little project for,
yeah,
your
you did always
you
have to
had to have a
include those.
contents page. All the books that you read, they had a contents
Like when
page.
they did a project on the Romans or something.
Yeah.
Or the pyramids. And you had to, even though it was only about 3 pages long, I think they were just laughing at how little content we had.
I remember we did one on mountains in year
broad.
6.
Broad and dull.
And the final stage of it was you had to write a story, somehow mountain themed / related.
Okay.
And I, like many of that age,
Yeah. You
was-
like many of that age.
yeah, I like all of them.
Right. That's a troubling thing to say.
I was big into the old Alex Rider books.
Oh, yeah, I remember them.
Like I was,
Eva Stellenbosch. She used to look after that school, didn't she, on the big mountain?
yeah,
South African lady she was.
Point Break. Are you talking
That's
about?
the one. Doctor Death or something.
Yeah. So there was like
Doctor-
Stormbreaker, Point Break. What was the third one? Skeleton Key,
Falcon
Eagle Strike.
Eagle Strike?
Eagle Strike.
I never read that one. I think I jumped
Eagle
off.
Strike was the best one.
No.
Then there was Scorpia. That was actually very good. Archangel, and then another one.
God, he milked this, didn't he, Anthony
Yeah.
Horowitz? Do you know he
yeah.
writes loads of screenplays for like random TV stuff?
He's a bit of a well, he wrote Midsummer
He's a bit of a racist, is he?
Yeah. Do you not remember how he said that Idris Elba wouldn't be a good Bond because he'd be, quote, too urban?
No, did he? Oh, stop. Fuck off.
But yeah, he writes like Midsummer Murders and stuff.
Yeah.
But so I was big into that. So I basically
I didn't
copied that.
steal it. And
Yeah. I did my usual, which was I changed the name to something equally bland, and the villain, because his villain in that was called Yasin Grigorovich.
I thought he turned out to be a goodie
Yeah, he did, but he was the villain.
at the time.
Yeah, beforehand. And so I had something that was like equally preposterous. And it was all about, it was basically Point Break. It was having to say something from being a a mountain from being exploded.
Yeah.
And it was the longest story in the whole world.
Oh.
Like, these were, their idea was, this should be about a page and a half.
What year are you in?
6.
Okay, so it's a year where you can write quantity.
And I wrote, I think, 12 pages
Oh, no.
of such inane build-up and detail that it was unfathomable. And in the last chapter,
All the story
which
happened.
the mountain got blown up.
No!
That was it. He failed.
The bait and switch.
I was at that point, even then, so bored of the cliche hero saves it that I just
I
went.
can just imagine you
I was
just
like,
sitting there smoking.
basically,
Getting
it was
loaded
it was
with-
such a it was a real shame. Basically, he had this bomb called the Mount Eliminator bomb, and
Did it blow up mountains?
you saw through me.
I've seen those on Amazon.
But I basically my hero, he
Alex
he was
Spider.
fighting Yasin.
Grigorov.
Yeah,
Grigorov.
Grigoronaut.
Yeah,
Yasin Grigoronaut.
that's him.
Yes, no, Grigoronaut.
Love him.
He was just punching. They were having a big fight.
He's a child, though.
Yeah.
And this other guy's
but
an adult.
he knew, a kung fu,
What did he know? Right.
some sort of martial art.
Oh, yeah. The one that makes you an adult.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And he, oh God, I've just remembered something so horrible. I have to tell you afterwards.
Okay.
And they're having this fight. And yes, no comes at him, and he goes for the killing
Land
blow.
it.
And my hero leans back
Like
and
Neo in the
kicks him.
Matrix.
Yeah, just boots him, and he stumbles
Are
back.
they on the mountain at this point?
They're in the little cave in the mountain
Oh, they're
where the
in it.
bomb is.
Right.
And he only went and kicked him.
Oh, not
Into
into
the
the
bomb.
Eliminator. Fuck's sake. That's good, though, because no one would have seen that coming.
No, even though I'd written it in big capital letters at the bottom of the page,
they
so
would have
your
seen
eye
it
was
coming,
distracted
yeah.
and knew it was coming.
That's unfortunate.
What I have
What's
to
this
tell
that
you,
you think you've
well,
thinked of?
well, another of my writing projects, one famous among my family for being so unfathomably poor.
Okay.
And not just poor, probably legally plagiarism,
Oh, good.
was the story of Yamo Porritz,
Right.
which was my Harry Potter ripoff.
Yamo Porritz.
Yep.
Why? What did
Yeah,
you
that's-
did you think that Harry
that's
Potter
the
was a
same.
made up name?
Yeah.
You'd never met someone called
No.
Harry.
Or Potter.
Wow, this magical name.
So that was it. And this was my... Now,
Where was he from in
here
your
are some...
story?
Don't worry, England.
Oh, yeah, there are a lot of
It was a
Yamos.
British story for British people.
British story.
Now, here are some things about this about this story. I think that it was 14 pages long.
Right.
But here's
It's
the
another
thing.
long effort
But
for...
well, not quite.
Oh,
Because it was on A5 paper.
right. Americans don't know about A5.
Oh, so
think.
like basically book size paper, small paperback book size paper, on the computer. So it was a A5
Yeah.
in size 32,
Bloody hell.
wide Latin.
Wow. That's a piss take.
So I can only imagine that it was maybe 200 words,
At
if
best.
that. And basically, he was magic. I don't know, something like that.
And was it like at the beginning of his arc? Or did
Yeah,
he
yeah,
join in,
right at
like-
the beginning of his
Okay.
arc. He got
Was he living in a cupboard
He got
under
recruited, probably something like that.
Recruited. That's an interesting
Yeah.
word to use. You make them sound like a terrorist organisation.
Well, this is the thing. I remember not very much about it,
Uh-huh.
but I do remember that he, in order to join this school organisation, I don't know, one of the two,
Had to give Hagrid a
there was a
hand job.
list of 3 things that he had to do.
Ah, I'm not liking this.
Yeah.
Was one of them become a chat roulette girl for 3 months just to prove his loyalty?
One of them was to sell his body, earning
Goodness.
a total of no. So the first was become a wizard.
Well, that's a very circular one. Isn't
Right.
that the point of doing the rest of them?
No. Oh,
What was
goodness,
it to
no.
do then?
Oh, but don't
I need to
worry.
know what the point was of these 3 challenges, because otherwise, as a reader,
they
I'm
weren't
invested.
They were sort of challenges / training.
Right. But become a wizard is like the draw the rest of the fucking hour of this story.
Which is what makes the rest of the list so incredibly
Okay.
like pointless.
Right.
And as well as probably in hindsight borderline offensive. Number 2 was something along the lines of like become
Even better.
like
wizard.
Bear Grylls-esque kind of survivor.
Why? If you're a wizard.
Well, yeah, exactly. This is why I
Yeah.
say pointless. But the third and least impressive
Get your tax return in on time.
was, and I remember this quote crystalline word for word, was learn to do what ninjas do.
What do ninjas do?
Goodness.
What did you mean?
I only know.
Do you mean separate from their Ninjago?
Well, because, no.
you meant specifically just that.
Yeah.
Not like everything that they do.
No, because basically, I used to do, at the time, a martial art course.
Did you?
Yeah, I was all right.
What a martial
I wasn't
art.
overweight.
What did you do? What
It's called
martial
Tanks Today.
What did you have to wear for it, please? Please
I
just
can
paint
probably
a
get you
picture.
some photos for
How,
the
on a
podcast.
scale of 1 to Hitler
It was like
himself,
a traditional karate.
how offensive
outfit.
and racist
No.
did you look in your
No,
all-white skinhead
me-
costume?
Well, it was okay because I was so young that I was kind of adorable.
Like an adorable racist kid.
Yeah, or
Like
no,
the monkey that betrays Indiana Jones.
More like you were the son.
Of a racist.
Yeah, like
You're
you were
calling
the
your
adorable
dad
son.
An adorable racist.
Yeah, no, I just looked like
Uh-huh.
like if my dad was being my theoretical dad was being interviewed on the news and I was in the background, that people be going, "Oh, it's a
sad,
shame,"
isn't it? Yeah.
Like when you see a racist's pet. and you're
Yeah.
like,
I hate
poor dog.
poor
Doesn't know
racist
he's owned
dog.
by a fucking racist
Or
bastard.
maybe he does, and that's the
Oh,
even
no.
greater burden.
So, so yeah, I looked alright, but I can get you some pictures.
What sort of moves did you learn? Like, what was the style?
Well, very generic, I
Yeah.
suppose. Yeah.
Kicking,
punching,
throwing people around.
jump kick, back kick,
A back
various
kick?
blocks.
What's a back kick? Like
Well,
a donkey?
It's where you spin and kick backwards. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And have those skills kind of come with you into adulthood? Is it something that you use often?
theoretically, as in my hypothetical self,
Yeah.
yes, but no.
Okay.
I'm probably incapable of doing much of it now. I mean, I remember.
Did you get any belts or anything?
Yeah.
How high did you go? What was the rating system?
So it went. So you have the various coloured belts,
Uh-huh.
but there's 2 stages to each one, where you have just the belt.
There's always some kid at primary school trying to explain this to everyone,
Yeah.
and it was always ludicrously complicated.
Well, it's not that complicated, but it's probably just more complicated than it needs to be. But also so incredibly lo-fi, in that you have the belt,
Yeah.
which is a reasonably kind of expensive thing that you buy.
What's it made of? Just rope or something?
Yeah, rope. No.
Yeah.
it's like cloth material, but it's kind
Okay.
of strengthened and it's like official and branded and whatnot. But so that would be of the colour.
Yeah.
And when you so you start and you have white belt,
Okay.
because
Interesting.
the whites can't do it.
Yeah.
But then before you move on to the next colour belt, you do a grading,
Right.
which is like a kind of ceremony where you prove how good / poor you are.
Ceremony.
Yeah, it is like it's a really big
What do you
event.
have to do?
So you have to do what are called forms, which are like basically like,
Like
dance routines.
filling them out?
No, they're basically like dance routines, but of these
Wow.
moves. And you learn them for each one, and then you have to like punch the.
And was there a
blocks and
sensei
punch and
figure?
Kick them. Yeah,
What was his
Master
character
Luke.
like? Was Master what?
Master Luke.
Oh, I thought you said Master Luke. Like, that would have been incredible.
No, Master Luke.
Master
like
Luke.
in a kind of Star Wars rip-off.
Was he like? Did he have the kind of mental wisdom to
Yes.
accompany the physical
Yeah,
forms?
yeah, he was great. He was kind of the head figure of the whole movement
Religion.
in England.
Wow.
But he also happened to be the guy who did it at Clement's Hall in Rochford.
Oh, weird.
Which was mad
Hmm.
to think about. But he, so you'd have to do those forms, and you'd have to do you have to punch the kind of like wooden boards, but they're not actually wooden
To
boards.
what end? To break them?
Yeah, but they're ones that are like slats, so you have to. They're built to bust in half.
Yeah.
But only if you apply like the right amount of force to it and whatnot.
Right.
Or sufficient force. So you have to do various of those, and before you do one of those when you have the belt, and you get a tag that is the color of the next belt. and then you do another one, and you move on to the belt.
Oh, it's like an RPG.
Yeah, so the belts are white, yellow, orange,
What's the best
green,
one? Black.
blue, red, black.
Is there anything beyond black?
No, when you're at black, you do what are called dans. So it's like
You do
so
dance.
you go up the levels to
Okay.
be like, I can't remember whether it's
King.
yeah,
You become the
got
monarch.
Pope.
That's
You become
amazing.
Kung Fu Pope. Sounds like a
That was Jack
cartoon
Black
that's
rejected
scratched.
pitch.
I think it's that you start at first down and you go second, third, fourth, like until
Just forever.
that's it.
It's
No,
like
it's not
the
infinite.
Illuminati.
It's like the
It's like
Scientologists.
Freemasons.
But I got up to green belt, blue tag, so I was
Right.
1, 2,
Is there a lot of
3
like,
from the end, basically.
what's the kind of status within the community? Would you just drop out like, oh, nice to meet you, Declan, green belt, blue tag? How about yourself?
I think
Oh,
people
pink.
would assume that meant I was on a register or something.
You've got a blue tag.
Yeah.
Not allowed out of the house until sunrise, but you know, it's cool. It's whatever.
Better than those bloody orange belt green tags. Jeez,
know what I say about them.
Wouldn't go back there
What
again.
with Megan's law?
Yeah.
Stuck.
So I used to do this one, so I knew that was called Tang Sudao,
Right.
but
I've never heard of that.
I didn't think no, but there's loads.
Are there? They all like variants on the same theme.
Yeah.
What's the benefit of making a new one? Just someone
they
else.
someone else's idea.
Idea
Like they
about
have
it.
different takes. Some of them have slightly different philosophies behind them, and they have different. Like,
Did you get to
grading
learn
systems.
much of the philosophy?
You had to learn some of the philosophy to do some of the later grades. Like you had to know various, like you had to learn the names of the moves in Mandarin.
Ah.
So because they would, because he would shout them out, like Master Lake, who would do the gradings, would shout it out in
Yeah.
that, and you'd have to do it then.
Wow.
So if you didn't know what it was, just
very
a
silly.
real,
Just flailing.
just
Sorry,
trying to do a
Master Loke.
just trying to do a combination, doing them really slowly, like lift the arm up, and he like
Try and see
frowns
it's, like,
a bit,
hotter and colder.
Yeah, so you like lift the leg up, and he sort of smiles. So I knew what that one was,
Yeah.
but I
I've
presumed
forgotten why we're
that's-
talking about this.
I presume that's not what ninjas did.
Oh, yes. I remember.
So I had to kind of find out what that
What
was.
it was.
But what I did instead was not find out what it was and just say,
right.
do what ninjas do. Learn to do what ninjas
That sounds like just a child mantra, doesn't it? Do what ninjas do.
Yeah, equally, again though, eschewing tradition that this, 40-word saga
Yeah.
ended with the villain
Gets arrested for
Winning.
tax evasion.
just winning and my character died.
What do
I
you
was
think
very
that said
obsessed
about
with
you
that.
at the time?
Didn't believe in myself.
Didn't believe
Rightly
in,
so.
didn't
'Cause the
believe in
whole
heroes.
fucking family laughed their asses off at this bullshit, and I had to sulk and put it in the recycling bin.
Is it gone forever
Then
then?
got no. Well, I mean, it is now, but I got told off for doing that, and then I recovered it from the bin. But then I never looked at it again out of pure shame.
I think we should try and unearth, because I definitely must have some like old writing stuff. I used to write very strange, mostly murder-based stories about like the Clockwork Killer.
Did.
I was really interested in the idea of a calling card as a narrative motif.
Yeah, well, I wonder, as a percentage, how many of our listeners are surprised by that.
I don't know what you're trying to
I think
imply
it's
about
going
that.
to be a big solid nut.
I think it's just interesting. And also I was exposed to too much Poirot at too young an age. There, I've said it. Okay. Make of that what you will. We should return to the love quiz, I think.
Yeah, let's go straight.
We're
back
going to
in.
do a couple of questions.
I didn't.
We've already fucked with this
didn't-
half-hour thing.
Yeah. Well, this is the introductory episode.
Yeah. This is going on for hours, guys.
We're
Strap
not
in for a
doing a
big one.
fucking another one this week.
Fucking chance. Well, we've got a busy week. Maybe we should talk about that. There's nothing to say other than to gloat.
No.
We're going to see Network with Bryan Cranston's
Well,
understudy.
obviously.
No, it's going to be Bryan. I'm holding out. I'm there. It'll be Bryan.
Yes, but I'm there.
If I go in first, it'll be like Bryan Cranston's special anniversary performance. He'll be coming out after the show to like hug everyone and
Give her all a hand job and,
yeah,
and a $50
and a roll in
bill.
Malcolm in the Middle, the reboot.
Yeah.
But if you go in first, the set will have gone. They'll have given up on Network. TV is dead.
Here it is. It's Harvey Weinstein as the Network.
So we're going to see that, and then on Thursday I'm going to see Sondheim concert at South Bank Centre.
I think I'm going to see that new Jake Gyllenhaal film, the
What's
You Were
that?
Never Really Here one.
Oh,
Quite
yes,
good.
it does
I
look-
think
Lynn
I'm going to see
Ramsey.
that with Dan, I think.
Yes, looks very good.
Thursday. At least he
What's
offered
Jake Gyllenhaal in it? I thought it was
Not-
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, maybe, yeah, probably.
They're
I got
both
it
men.
confused because you said you were the Nightcrawler of something.
I didn't say.
earlier.
I did said nothing of the sort.
You
I would
did.
never compare myself to that creepy Nightcrawler.
You did. You said you were the Nightcrawler of online sex porn.
Never said anything
Online
like
sex
that.
porn.
Sounds like your grandma's idea of
He
the
was
internet.
watching the online sex porn again.
So we've only done 9 of these. Would you believe?
Fucking
There
hell.
are
Can I tell you that
thousands left.
I went for a drink with Toby
Oh, yeah.
a few days ago and he said
How's he doing?
already he regrets giving us this more than anything else he's ever done in his life.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
that's interesting because he hasn't started our campaign quite yet.
No.
We should tell listeners about that.
Yeah.
We don't have much to say yet, but the stars have aligned on what I can only assume. We should try and record elements of it and do something
Definitely.
with it. Basically, you know how in the last 3 or 4 years, the 80s, everyone just remembered was a decade that happened. Out has been pulled this nostalgia bubble surrounding Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I've never known anything about it other than that I have an instinctive desire to kind of eschew it and, you know, maybe poke fun at those involved. But I'm holding that back. Those who live in, you know, glass dungeons cannot throw stones. So what we're going to do is, who's organised this? Whose idea was it, really? I guess partly Toby's.
Well, it was weird because it kind
There were
of
a couple of people at
coincided
once.
because my girlfriend has been desperate to play for a couple of months now and was asking if I could convince you and some others to get together to play.
Interesting.
And I was like, I reckon I can.
I like that the convincing was outsourced to you.
Well, yeah. And so I was thinking that in kind of separate conversations, I could get everyone at least in the same room to do the game.
Yeah. And then just trick us into it. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
what's this? It's a dragons.
No. But, because my reason to get you to play would have been different to
Yes, I
convincing
see.
Dan and whatnot. So I said I was pretty sure I could do it.
What would have been your reason to convince me to play?
We can ruin it.
Oh, okay.
We can take the piss. As indeed it is with most things.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like in the midst of working on that when you mentioned to me
The
that
very person who's calling.
Wow.
That's weird.
um,
That's
that
the sound
the-
of this person calling.
that the Matthew
Yep. Matthew
one
of
and only.
friendship.
Matthew had contacted you saying he was getting into it big.
Yeah, he's sort of been around the fringes of it, but he'd started doing like going to some meetup thing and derailing some campaign where he'd started as someone who was like, I think his main character trait was just that he thought he knew everything, and then he had a near-death experience and rebuilt the character on the ground up as someone who realised that he didn't know everything he thought he did, and he became this really like humble, just pleasant figure to be around. So there were lots of factors converging.
And then I spoke to Toby,
Yeah.
and he mentioned that he was sick of playing these sorts of things with another famous character from the show, Ross.
Yeah, off of Heat Sec.
Yes, because Ross apparently is so unfathomably fascist
Pernickety.
about the rules
Yeah.
and about the law.
He's a stickler,
LORE.
isn't he?
He is, bless him.
Yeah.
That he was kind of like looking to play with other people.
Yeah.
And so
He thought, who's the opposite
so I
of that?
thought, here we go. Here we go. The stars have aligned.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I'm sort of suspicious of it as well because I think it fun. Like as a game, it lives and dies based on more than any other game the people playing it because it doesn't really exist from what I understand.
No.
It's just a story that you tell as a group.
Yeah.
And I mean, as someone who tutors a lot of English literature, the stories that people tell me almost
Very,
universal
very
nonsense. So I'm hoping that that will be different here. And it's kind of zeitgeisty at the moment. Lots of podcasts starting up about it. I mean, I know it's been going for 30 years or something,
Yeah.
at least. But Stranger Things obviously had a big role in bringing it back.
Yeah.
Ready Player One, you'll know about. You're looking forward to seeing that, aren't you?
No.
We're going to maybe do
that's
something
a
with the
no.
book of Ready Player One because it is so egregiously poor that I think Declan's going to enjoy it in a big way.
I know that I'm going to hate it perhaps more than anything else in the known universe.
Wow. Well, I look forward to that. Anyway, the love quiz. All of that is on hold for now.
Yes. So tell us about the love quiz.
Question 10. If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be? Try and avoid anything to do with that like hypothetical racist family that you invented. Because I just don't think that's fair.
No, it's not. This is a good question because I often think that I wouldn't really want to change anything about the way.
Because
I
you'd
was
end up being a
raised.
different person
Yeah, I quite like who I
by
am.
default.
Yeah.
What about if you'd been raised like the same, but they'd all called you something different and that name like carried more weight and gravitas? So instead of Declan, you were like Thor Delane.
Then you think that carries gravitas? You'd
Something
have
like
preferred to have gone to school as Thor, would you?
No, but maybe your personality would have been forced to develop around it.
Well, yeah,
Fill
but
the
that's
cracks.
exactly the sort of thing that I'm glad didn't, because I've been instilled with what I think a happy medium of self-belief, which was initially none, then all, and now moderated down to
that's good.
some.
Some skewing
More than most.
high.
yeah. Positive skew to
What about
negative.
something about your upbringing, like geographically? What if you'd been brought up in LA?
Oh, God,
You'd
no.
have been a little child
have
star
dead.
or your taekwondo.
I would have 100% been burnt to death
You and Master
by the very
Link.
sun.
You'd have been the new Karate Kid.
What? So I have to change the fact that both myself and Master Lake grew up in LA.
Imagine him
rather
being
than-
snatched out of his timeline by a greedy little kid. Whoa! He'd get on.
standing
there.
underneath the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
No, well, because again, like I think some of the things that I have sometimes thought about, what would be different then, always kind of gets rid of something that I quite like.
There is that butterfly trade-off,
yeah.
isn't there?
I mean, like we never had like any money
Yeah.
growing up. So I like when I was a kid, I always thought it'd be great if we had more of that so that we could, could do some more stuff or have some more things. But kind of as I've grown up, I'm actually quite grateful for like, having been on these kind of quite fun, budgety family
Yeah,
holidays.
'cause otherwise
rather
you'd not
than-
have those experiences.
No, and as much as anyone can tell me that Italy's lovely, does not compare to the arcades on the Norfolk
Nothing
coast.
compares to the arcades anywhere. let me
No,
tell you.
so there's nothing really that I think
What
specifically.
about if
I'd
you'd
like
been
to change.
pushed to develop some skill or talent, like maybe
Musical
down this karate
instrument,
route?
I'd quite like to have played.
Yeah,
That I suppose is probably the best thing that I could think of for that question, and that's you thought of it. but
That's
yeah,
fine, you can
I've
have that
always
one for
wanted
free.
to play a musical instrument, but that was kind of something that we could.
why don't you start now? Why don't you commit on episode 67 to be the best goddamn harpist since Ollie off of emails?
I'll record my own jingle. I'm so
lost the
poor
interest.
at self-teaching and
Get a tutor.
music. So I don't want to pay someone.
It's not expensive. You just get a student to do it.
Yeah, but I don't want to pay them to do it.
I see.
I might at some point, but I just I can't be bothered to
haven't got the
invest that right
motivation.
now. No.
Do you think, what if that was the key then, that your upbringing enhanced your general motivation? Do you think you'd be in a better place life-wise?
Oh, probably.
Like if,
But I'd probably be enjoying myself less.
yeah, and you'd probably be like ambitious in an annoying way.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were working in the city.
This is it.
Yeah, that'd be horrid.
I was thinking about this because I was talking to my girlfriend about what do we think. Like I asked her as a conversation piece because I love to just blindside her with very deep questions. Like, what do you think your parents think of you?
Ooh, good question.
And so we spoke about that for a while. And then obviously it was returned to me. And my thought is that I think that my parents tread a line of pride and not quite disappointment, but probably frustration. That they're like,
That must be most
I went to school, I got like great GCSEs, I got great A levels, I got a great degree, but he's gone and done fuck all with it. But
he did get them.
My dad's whole kind of mantra as I was growing
Get a
up was
job.
like, you could be a captain of industry. That's the phrase he always used.
captain of
like, you could be
industry?
a captain of industry.
That's such a
You
Victorian
could go and like run
thing to say.
anything
That's
you wanted.
interesting.
But what he didn't know was I didn't want to run.
You didn't want to run a
fucking
factory
thing.
or anything.
No, and so, but I think that at the same time, when like they like the fact that whilst they're kind of frustrated that I haven't done that and that I haven't got a long-term plan, as it were.
Do you not?
No. I think at the same time, they'll never actually worry about me.
Yeah.
Because they'll know that I always just
You're meant
have
to.
kind of muddled through and been all right.
That's good. How about the negative version of this question, which is rather than choosing an aspect and like making therefore a slightly more positive outcome, what do you think is the
Smallest
closest?
change that would make the most negative outcome.
Yeah, or I guess to take away that conceit, I'm asking really, what's the negative version of you that's closest to what you are now? Like what one? I'm not so interested in the decision as in the outcome. What's like if we sidestep where you are now and have like a very slight parallel universe you, what's the closest worst alternative?
If I got into Cambridge, 100%.
Oh, what would you be doing now?
I'd be the most insufferable. I'd be so unfathomably hard.
What do you think you would be doing on a like day-to-day basis?
I don't know.
Other than like burning money in front of the homeless.
I have no idea what I'd be doing other than that. But what I know is
still be there.
That there's a crossover. Like there's a moment in that parallel universe,
sliding doors style,
where you and like Dange are doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And you've come across my photo somewhere, and you're talking about how insufferable. Like the that's a shame. It's probably called something else.
Yeah.
The Twitter has retweeted this photo of me.
Yeah.
And I'm somehow I've like convinced my hair to kind of comb over to the side.
Maybe like a foppish forwards fringe sort of deal. Glasses all the time.
My teeth are bigger.
We don't know how. We don't know why.
No.
They just are.
Just been like
That's
ingesting milk.
Yeah. Straight to the front teeth.
Milk and paying for the bus with £50
And also,
notes.
it's because when you're so superior, you never really need to shut your jaw.
No, exactly.
Everything's very loose.
So, like goldfish, they
Ready
grow
to
to their
sneer.
environment.
Yeah. That's teeth.
But I think
Weren't going to be a dentist, it sounds like. Very limited understanding of the teeth.
Yeah, I think that is probably that's again like the smallest change that
The largest outcome.
largest outcome that would have been so very horrid.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, actually.
What about you?
Which one of the
both.
questions? For both. So the first one, what was it even the question? What do you wish had
would you
happened?
change about your childhood?
The only thing I would change would be maybe I'd like to have not ignored my dad so much when he spoke to me in French, so that I was now bilingual in a proper way, rather than just I can pass half an hour conversation and after that, might as well start again.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, I didn't really care the first time. But yeah, he used to talk to me in French and then I would just answer in English. So that was probably a bit too obstreperous for a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Although I was very deaf as a child, I had like 70% hearing loss in both ears. And they said that if I hadn't learned English really early, which, came part and parcel of not learning French, because bilingual kids often don't speak either language for
Very well,
for a lot
yeah.
later, they'd be like, oh, well, he'd be very, very poor at language altogether by now. So maybe that was, a benefit overall. And then the second question, where my paths diverge. There are quite a few different places it could be, really. I think the most important one for me was secondary school. I didn't go to the school that all my friends from primary school went to. I went to a much worse school in the league tables, but a much better school for making me into a human rather than a total cunt.
Wow. It's amazing how those things differ, isn't it?
And it's also scary
hand in
that
hand.
such a small choice can affect that much at that age. Like you're 11 and that shapes who you are in a big way. Like obviously people change from secondary school, but I think so much of your personality is cemented.
Oh yeah.
Not just your personality, but your politics, your just outlook. And those things aren't insurmountable changes to make in adulthood, but it's hard work to change the person that you become in those 5 years.
Not even who you become, but who you define yourself as.
Yeah, and kind of in opposition to as well. Like the group that you're with is not just the group that you're with, it's who you're not with.
You're not doing old Gramsci's theory of the subaltern again, are you?
You better believe it.
As a kind of a sort of tertiary look, what do
We
you
should
think
write our own quiz.
as a kind of like pre-15,
Yeah.
what's the biggest change that could have been made that would have affected you the least? What's something massive that could have happened that you think wouldn't have changed you?
How about
You know how people are like, oh, if I won the lottery, I'd still shop at Primark.
Yeah.
That could lie. What's your version of that?
Mine would probably be like never seeing almost anyone in my entire family, apart from like my mum and grandma. Because, I mean, fast forward down the years and we don't speak to any of them anyway.
Yeah.
And I have a very fractured sense of what family is even for. So I think expediting that process would have been no bad thing. It would have just been like, got it out of the way. I don't think there are many things. The next question actually would link into this because it's about describing your life story in 4 minutes. But the short version is that there was lots of like not much structure and moving around a lot anyway. So stuff about location, changing schools. I did that loads of times. Like at 15, I would have probably lived in more different places than years of my life. I think that was true until I was about 18. So a lot of the big things that people write about in like children's literature, I used to get so fucked off reading books in secondary school that were like, and then the worst thing happened. Dad said we were moving schools. So I'll get fucking over it, mate. I've done it about 8 times.
That's really interesting because mine was going to be that I had like a very stable kind of childhood, that we moved to Essex when I was 5, and lived within the same 2 streets until I went to uni.
Yeah.
And then for 2 years
Make it
after,
sound like you just colonised a whole block. The Delanes just
worked
plopped down like
outwards,
a big Sims house.
just annexed everything one door out. But I think that, bar the fact that I think that my secondary school did shape me a lot. I feel like if we'd moved, there's nothing about like the location
feel
of where I
tied
was
to the
living
land.
that kind of would have
Essex wasn't a
affected me.
character in your life.
Definitely not. I don't feel as though I
Have any allegiance?
like subscribe to any of the
No.
traits commonly associated, and I have no love for it. Like, it was fine. Like there are some places that I like,
Yeah,
but
some
I'm
nice
pretty sure
bits.
that there are some places that
Everywhere.
I could like everywhere.
Yeah, that's my takeaway from, I guess that's like a fortunate thing. That's probably goes back to like what I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Is having moved around enough and like interacted with enough different people of like full extremes of Southeast London, like poor community in Deptford, to living in a legit castle with the Duke of Arundel. Like that's a big
And going
contrast.
to school with princes.
Yeah, and then like
kings and
back and forth, and not only the places but the people and the wealth. Finding out that everyone was basically the same kind of idiot was a good thing. That's an optimistic message. I shouldn't have said idiot,
Yeah.
but I mean like.
But you do mean it.
I mean, I do. Yeah, I guess I do. But this, like, you know, doesn't matter where you are really. It's all everywhere's got like.
Everyone's the same debt level.
Yeah, I guess that's the takeaway message. Everyone's the same debt lev, and everywhere's got a McDonald's, so why even bother? We've got an email from Mark. This is from end of February, but it's related to episode 65, which is only 2 away. So, you know,
About 3 weeks ago.
but literal years. Isaac and Declan. Also, Mark was kind enough to get in touch to inquire as to whether he was still alive. You
And
did
it
a
was
very
the only
dramatic
one.
tweet about our not putting an episode out. You were like, we're not in the right frame of mind or something.
Yeah, we're
was
not
like,
in the
what?
right place.
Did you mean literally or mentally? I think
both.
I was just busy. I wasn't like.
Well, we said
wasn't
we were going to
broken.
record when I got home from somewhere.
yeah.
No, you were tutoring until 9:30.
Oh, that
and
was
I was making
depressing.
dinner.
Yeah.
And then making dinner took longer than I thought. And then we ate it.
Yeah.
And then I was both in the middle of an argument, annoyed that dinner had taken longer, and too full to actually eat it. Though,
So it was the royal we.
which was just
I was just tired.
well, but at the same time, you were the one who went. Should we put out a tweet? And
Oh
not
yeah,
do it?"
yeah.
So,
I did push us over into the vote.
yeah.
Thank you for getting in touch, though, Mark. It means
My
a lot.
mum did say though, what did you mean by that though, Deck? And before I could answer, she was like, who didn't just mean like emotionally? Don't be a snowflake.
That's jokes. Oh. I have a number of unrelated observations on episode 65. Isaac has bought a Kindle. 2 exclamation marks. Double surprise.
One for each Kindle.
I'm surprised he said. I sent the other one back just the other day. Had to pay £7 to send that Kindle back.
Wow, doesn't really matter because you got it for free.
Twice. I would have thought that he would be a real book fan. I've looked at them, but despite all the advantages they offer, such as the number of books they can contain and the ability to be able to magnify text, I really cannot give up the feel of having a real book in my hand and being able to fold the corner of the page to mark my position. So yeah, a lot of people have expressed this opinion to me, that apparently something about me seems like I'd be a fan of the real book.
Well, you like the traditional stuff, don't you?
Real books for real men. Actual fact, I would take any invention to avoid having to touch paper. If tissues could be made out of, I don't know,
Data.
like, yeah, Bitcoin tissues, I'd sneeze all over the bastards. No, I was thinking of like plastic, some sort of cellophane tissue.
Oh,
that's where I want to
worst
live.
idea I've ever heard.
I'm going to pitch it to Kleenex.
Imagine trying to like clear up something you spilled using only cellophane. It'd be the most
pushing it
arduous task.
You'd have to push it out of the whole house.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've never been a big fan of. I like books as aesthetic objects, but I think reading a book is a fundamentally cumbersome experience. Carrying it, holding it is weird. Touching the horrid rough paper, it's just all of it. I can't be doing.
The only thing I don't like about
Marking
the
a page.
experience of reading the book is that if you want to do it on the tube, there's never enough room. People are
True,
always
yeah.
like,
The
"I've got
Kindle, you only need the one hand.
Yeah.
You can have it quite straight.
But I'm with you, Mark. I'm not like ideologically opposed to the Kindle, but I'm just perfectly happy reading books. And I do love the book.
Yeah, I like the book. You know that one book that we have that we
Love
keep
it.
in
Your
our file?
Baba book.
That's him. I like them as things to have, but I think it's this. I approach them now the same way that I approach like CDs, which is that they have to have some meaning. I wouldn't just
Oh yeah,
buy
no,
a book.
I totally agree that my love for them is nostalgic.
Yeah.
In a weird sense of nostalgia for something that's still very much here.
Yeah. He continues, Declan, I have to admit, and I don't know how you're going to feel about this, I am one of those that will drive down the empty right-hand lane at roadworks and then force into the main traffic queue. My argument, just to preempt you there, for doing this is that if they didn't want you to use the other lane, they would have shut it off. So he's exploiting a loophole.
Well, part of what I meant, like, what I mean by my hatred for that is partly inspired by people who come up the bus lane to do it, which is always an aggravation. It's people who do it when they can see that there's already a fucking problem with the traffic flow as it is,
Yeah.
and think, well,
might as well add to it.
Yeah.
In for a penny,
But also,
in for a crash.
to kind of answer his point there is that it mainly stems from my hatred of people doing it when they have closed a lane on the motorway.
Yeah.
When the overhead thing says those two lanes are shut and you have fuckers driving down them anyway to just cut in at the front. And you think, well, we could all fucking do that, but that's the whole point, is that we're not supposed to.
My opinion on Marvel films, this is the final of the 3 points. They have to be seen in the cinema, preferably IMAX 3D. It's the only way. Watching them on TV can never do them justice. I'm going to see Black Panther with my son on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Let us know what you thought.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'd like to go and see it again, I thought the other day. I enjoyed it enough to
I
see
haven't
it
seen enough of the other films to warrant going and seeing it again. I need to go and see I, Tonya.
Oh, I
need to go and
see. Yeah.
Shape
I
of
Tonya
Water
was
and whatnot.
extremely good. A final thought for your film review segment title. How about Rage or Engage? Because I think mine was something like Scream or Glean
Dream.
knowledge from it. Something very poor. Thank you for getting in touch, Mark. Now, I imagine, and I don't think this is too much of a stretch, that there will be a barrage of response to this proclamation from on high. There we are atop Mount Sinai, clutching our, not stone tablets, but maybe like a Kindle Fire, some sort of e-reader in that
That's on
vein.
touch screen.
Yeah, probably, I'm thinking capacitive.
So we can
not
have them
resistive.
quite large and then just scroll.
Yeah, because I mean, fuck carving
Tablets.
these days.
They could have said anything.
Anything
He was the only
at
one who
all.
could see them.
Yeah, so down we come, bearing the good news of 2 episodes a week, The Return, like Twin Peaks. And I imagine people are going to have a lot to say on that. Probably they'll want to thank us, maybe with video messages. Where can they send that kind of adulation?
Well, they could, of course, email.
Good idea.
If they wish to appear on the Shame Mail segment.
Yeah, because we're not going to go including like other communiques. Like if you send me some sort of I don't know.
If you like slide into the
Snapchat.
DMs.
Yeah, that's not going there.
No.
It's not going anywhere, all right?
So you can do that by getting in touch. TAS, TAS, stands for That's a Shame, at shame.city. Or, of course, you could get in touch via the contact form on the website, which comes trundling with such joy
I love
into our inboxes.
Yeah.
That's shame.city/contact.
Very attractive.
If you're not bothered about being on Shame Mail, you like to get in touch, you like listening to the feature, but you don't need that kind of glory or that kind of focus
I
in
think,
your life.
let me just say, try it out. The glory
I
is more than
definitely
you'd
do,
expect.
but maybe you're on the lam and you don't
guess,
need you don't need that kind of attention.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure all the authorities are listening to this.
Yeah.
I blame it for all of my bad luck.
Oh, no.
You could find us on Twitter. The show is at That's a Shamecast. Pictures of all sorts of horrid things.
Yeah, we still put
find.
out some good content on there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'd say so. Yeah. as well.
Otherwise, personal Twitters, should you need them, at Cynical Declan is, well, I'm not going to tell you which one of us that belongs to, and I'm at Isaac BD, which I guess does reveal, by process of a very complex logical game, the owner of the former
You did
Twitter
do
account.
English and philosophy.
Yeah, truth tables are really my forte. Other than that, of course, we have the review option available to you. Now, we're not looking for objectivity so much as, blanket praise. And that will come with the 5-star
adulation.
banner. iTunes is the place to be. Shame.city/reviews, maybe.
Yeah.
Head over there. It's much appreciated. Helps the show. And of course, last but not least,
In fact, the opposite.
yeah. Well, no, it is still last. It's not. Don't go saying it's
No, but
first
it's
and
best.
foremost. Last and
saying.
foremost.
Yeah.
Word of mouth.
It is the best of mouth.
It just is. Like, there's no two ways about it. And now that we're going back to 2 a week, double the opportunity for the words of your mouth to start becoming the best in other people's. And that will be something for you to enjoy, I'm sure.
And if that tortured syntax isn't enough of a selling point for you
Then I don't
or
know what's
those around
Wrong
you,
with you.
there's nothing we can do.
Yeah. Patreon.com/ShameCity if you'd like to chuck anything our way. $1 does help keep the lights
Yeah.
on here, especially when
We may end
Eon
up
keep charging us
Venmoing
extra.
it to a
Yeah,
an X.
robocopping it's called.
That's
That's
the
the
one.
dating trend. And until then, until episode 68, which will be, are we saying
Sunday.
this Sunday?
This Sunday.
Bloody hell. Look
Commit
at that,
ourselves.
guys. We'll see you then. I've been Isaac, you've been.
I have been Declan.
And we'll see you before you know it.
Bye, guys.
I meant Sunday.
That's the one.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder, my new home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. The bare necessities, the bare necessities, the bare necessities of life will come to you.